Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Monsters and Mechanics. Today we're going to be working on some of the stuff around the house, getting things moved in, and also taking a journey out to the Nether. And then, of course, we have a big build to make. You're going to love this one. So let's go ahead and start off by getting ready to head off to the Nether. I actually haven't really been in the Nether too much, aside from poking my head in once we created the portal. But I do need to get a lot of nethery blocks and apparently deal with some neighbors over here so I can get our project started today. And today we're going to be building a very large wood processing plant or lumber mill. And it's going to be like one that you've never seen before. But first, allow me to dispatch our foes. So our goal in the Nether is going to be a couple things. One, we're going to try to capture some blazes, potentially grabbing the blaze spawners themselves. Also, I need some more soul sand for some of the alloys we need to make for the build. And finally, I just kind of wanted to explore everything that's in the Nether since it is very modded and I haven't really been there yet. So I'm going to go ahead and head to spawn and grab a few more things and then we'll be off on our adventure. Our key to success here is going to be one, we'll be wearing some gold so that we don't get aggroed. And two, this little guy right here. So slimy shoes, it is a doodad or a trinket that we can put on our shoes that'll actually cause us to not take fall damage and also be able to bounce when we land on things and increase our jump height. So we basically jump and bounce all over the place. It's good for safety, but it's also kind of annoying at the same time. And I think we're ready to go. Ooh. Yeah, that bouncing afterwards is kind of a little irritating. But let's head on to the Nether. Well, this is certainly different. Ah, what the heck? What am I getting attacked by? Oh, it's a magic hand. So these are kind of cool. These things we can actually tame and have them do things around their base. Except I think I destroyed that one. Is that another fortress? Looks like it might be. Let's see. We probably make this here. Let's see. Yeet. Well, this is precarious. All right. Alright, there's a spawner. Nice. Ooh, what's that? We'll have to head down there next. Check out those mushrooms. Oh, there's another spawner. Not bad. Alright, well, unfortunately, I think that's all the excitement we're going to have at this Nether fortress. Not much here. Let's hop on down, check out what this stuff is. Soul Shroom Spore End. What's that do? Looks like it glows. Yeah, for this being called the Glowstone Gardens, there's not really any glowstone here. I'm hoping that one of these is just something that produces glowstone, maybe? Maybe we can craft in the glowstone? Holy cow. That's ridiculous. Shulker shells. I mean, Fortune 5? That's nuts. Also Fortune 5. Oh my god. Yeah, these are all good stuff. The question is how we inventory this thing. There it is. Huh. So, we have another fortress over there-ish? That's interesting. There's like one right there too. Alright, well. Not a bad haul. So I went ahead and put together a few basic starter stations for Create Mod. So right here we've got our mechanical press, which will then, feed from this chest, goes through its process, ends up in an output chest over there. We have a mixer that we're going to be putting a blaze burner under here, and so things that get mixed up end up in that chest right there. And then, of course, our millstone, which is going to end up down in there. And then I think right here we're probably going to put something to do some smelting, similar to what we had over at Spawn. Although right now I don't know if I can actually pull that off of these, because I think these are almost being overstressed at this point. So we may be at the extent of what we can put through here. I actually don't need this anymore. Take that. So we're gonna probably have to get some other power sources, maybe like some more blaze burners and whatnot, generating power to end up cooking things. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what we need to get our blaze burner set up. I believe we need some flattened iron, so let's go ahead and grab our iron real quick. Let's check the recipe real fast. All right, so for a blaze burner, let's see. So we need netherrack surrounded by iron sheets. I can do that. Actually, we probably have some iron sheets already. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Not yet. It doesn't appear we do. I know we have netherrack. We just went to the nether. Somewhere in here in my poorly organized mess. Netherrack. Let's go ahead and make a few of these. That might be excessive, but sure. And then we need 4 times the amount in iron. So start with that. And 3 blocks of iron. Oh, I was going to say, I thought I had a lot more than that. That should be enough. So we'll grab that. Let's go ahead and process our iron just to show how fast this is compared to at spawn. Spawn is just with a water wheel. This is definitely geared down to be pretty fast. So let's see. Let's throw our iron in here. Not bad. And now we make our blaze burners. Alright, well, we don't really have a place to set up our blaze farm, I guess, right now. So in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in my living room, which is probably a bad idea, but, you know, it shouldn't take too long. So let's get our card assembler stuff out like this. Lock that up. Let's get our contraption right there. And then we're going to grab our empty blaze burners, and we're basically going to click on these blazes as they spawn, which should give us what we need. Nice. All done. House is a little bit on fire. Okay. Alright, so this guy is going down there. I like how he's following me. That's cool. So in order to get this going, we have to feed him a cake or something. Or give him fuel. And that'll be for, like, melting stuff down. We need to make brass. And I think I can just right-click on that. There you go. And then if I... There we go. Yeah. Cool. And then brass ingots. Oh, we should probably put our lantern back up. Where was this? There you go. Alright, and then I know we need some deployers, which I believe are... hand, which is made with brass sheets and andesite alloy. So we need to make some brass sheets because we're going to need lots of deployers for the machine that we're going to be building a little bit later here. Let's get some more stuff going, and we'll build the stuff we need necessary for the machine that is going to go in the backyard. All right, so I went ahead and put together all the resources we're going to need for our big project down here. You'll see that there's a bunch of iron down the bottom, and that is because I am allowing it to rust. That's correct, you heard me right, rust. Iron does rust in our game because we have a nice little mod that allows it to rust like copper oxidizes. So over time, and then we can wax that to get some different colored materials. This is actually going to be for our roof. And what we're going to be building, well, we're going to be building a giant tree farm. This is going to be a tree farm like none other. So this farm is actually going to be using crate contraptions, which of course, you know, with crate is not all that unique. What is unique though is it's going to be supporting every single type of tree, and not only vanilla types of trees, but also modded types of trees. So everything that we see, all the mods that I have, I believe, might have to test some of those edge cases, but it should support every single one of them. And I will show you how we're going to do that when we get done waiting for this iron to oxidize. But of course, you're going to be going right into a time lapse. Let's hit that. All right, and the lumber mill is done. Now you may have noticed that we added some trees into the area. I was kind of missing the fir trees from spawn, so I decided to make my own fir tree forest as it is. We created this nice little path that actually goes around the house there to the front. That takes us down to our lumber mill area. And I've added, some of these boulders and just terraformed lightly around the area just to kind of add to the ambiance, which I think it does a great job of, including our log piles here. So this right here is actually a giant lumber mill that has a corrugated steel roof, and we're utilizing these rusted iron from the rusted iron mod. It actually allows the iron blocks to rust, similar to how the copper oxidizes, and so I went ahead and used that to kind of simulate a corrugated steel roof, which those tend to be pretty rusted as it is, and it adds a nice little contrast to the green in the area. Going on inside here, you'll notice we have a ton of storage for our logs. This is going to be where we're going to be storing all the wood that we generate from here. And if we come on down this way to the end, kind of take a look back here. So these two contraptions right here are our tree harvesting and tree cutting contraptions. And the way this whole system works, hidden below here, you'll see that these kind of look, they're too low to plant anything. And that's because the system is off right now. We hop on over into FreeCam. Let's take a look at what makes this thing happen. And that is a whole lot of wireless redstone. So you'll see there's a whole bunch of wireless links right here. And this is controlling an array of pistons. And apparently you've had some of the tree growth make its way down here as well. But basically it's going to control all the different piston arrays that we have that comprise our grow areas. And so based on what type of tree growth pattern that we need, it will trigger different sets of these pistons. So for example, we go down here to our selection panel. So with the farm off, we're going to go ahead and select what type of tree growth pattern that we're going to use. So for example, with vanilla Minecraft, most of those are going to be just either, a 1x1 or 2x2. Now, of course, the thing about this farm is it actually supports all tree types. And I say all with, the contingency that I have not tested every single tree type in the game, but everything that I've tested so far, including mangrove, and I'm talking about mangrove, both in the other biomes and in the wild backport, because we are in 118.2, and we don't have the 119 trees, but the wild backport brings in the vanilla mangrove into this version. So that all works so far, but I definitely am not ruling out any sort of weird edge cases where it may not. So the way it works is, say for example, I want to grow 1x1 trees. We switch it to the 1x1, and then you'll notice, since I did that, Out here, we have all of our different grow areas. Now it's 1 by 1. If I, for example, wanted to do, say, 2 by 2, select that. And then now we have 2 by 2 growth platforms. There's also, and some of these are little, it's because I don't have 5 rows, so you have to kind of pretend. So this right here is a 5 by 5, except the inside is actually empty. This is a 5 by 5, but it's full, so 5 by 5 plus. We have a 3 by 3, and then of course a diamond shape with 1 space in the middle. And so each of these, of course, sets up its own unique growth pattern. So you can see right there. And then let's do the cross. Like that. All right, you get the idea. So let's go back to our 1 by 1. So then the next step, it would be, of course, loading this full of bone meal and saplings. So right now I do have these both loaded with bone meal from earlier tests that we were doing. But if you didn't have it, what you would do then is you would switch this portable storage unit direction to input. So right now you can see it's going into the output. So when we were done running this farm, any logs and extra saplings would just flow through here and get sorted into these chests. And the way we're doing that is, of course, with item filters. So right here, I have this preventing bone meal from coming out, because otherwise we dump a bunch of bone meal into the system, and then when we're done using the farm, everything would just spit back out again. That was the problem I was having before. So I went ahead and got around that by blocking the bone meal, and I believe the tree fertilizer, which is a create thing. It allows us to basically grow the trees instantly if we set that up. It's a little bit more complicated than bone meal. It uses like coral and I think bone meal, and I can't remember what else is in there, but there's a few other components to it. So I haven't been using that yet. It's mainly been just the bone meal that we're going with right now. And then of course each one of these has a filter on it as well, and these are called attribute filters. And so what attribute filters do is, instead of blocking, say, oak logs or filtering oak logs or spruce logs and that type of thing, and having to fill up an entire filter, that I can do an attribute. So on the back end, Minecraft tags all items. So in this case, it'd be Minecraft logs. It's like a group of items. And so we can then filter it based off of that. So that's what we're doing here. We're filtering Minecraft logs. And then down here, we have a filter with an attribute filter that's actually inside of it, because you can use those instead of an item. So this is the attribute filter for saplings. And then because the wild backport has to be its own special flower, the propagules for the mangrove trees are also just in there as well, because they're not classified as a sapling, which is great. And then of course our junk. This is basically sticks. What else? Okay, so yeah, so we would normally go input. As you can see, this is disengaged right here, and then our input would actually be right here, and we just drop in what we're gonna load in. And so in this case, I have been testing some of these spruce saplings. We actually just started off with a little bit of these, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a few stacks. Let's do, say, 3 stacks each. That's probably enough. So we're gonna go ahead and dump 3 stacks in there, and you'll see this goes really fast because of the funnels. Yeah, it is a funnel. Yeah, I'm sorry, it is a funnel. So the funnels are dropping those in pretty quickly. Chutes. It's a chute. I was wrong. Not a funnel. It is a chute. Basically the same thing. Okay, and so the chutes are dropping that in there. Those are now in the system, and so what we want to do now is just basically flip this on. So we're going to leave this on input, because if we leave it on output, it's going to empty the farm out as soon as it gets back over here. So it stays on input while the farm is running. When we're done, right before the end, we're going to hit reset so that it's not leaving saplings out here. That'll also knock any saplings that have already been placed down off of there, and then we'll go collect those manually. All right, and so farm on, and away we go. So it should be growing everything, and then it's going to be bone mealing those. And then once it comes back, it's going to take care of those with the saws on the front. So you'll see we have a big, loud machine. We have a giant, tall wall of saws. And the reason we have to have it so tall is because of the mangrove. So the mangrove, because, you know, it has that giant root system that it sits on, it is very tall. And so in order for the create mod to the saws to actually knock down the whole tree, it's got to basically remove the bottom layer so that it's basically a floating tree at that point. If it's a floating tree, then it will basically destroy any of the leaves and any of the saplings and everything that's in there and collect it all automatically. But because mangrove roots don't count as logs, then of course it has to be much higher to hit that. Otherwise, if you were not doing, say you were using this on your own server or your own world and you didn't have the wild backport, you'd probably only need like the bottom two saws right there, the bottom 2 or 3 rows, and not all the way up to the top. And then the way we kind of do the planting on here is we have 2 sets of deployers. So the deployers basically will place saplings, and we have filters on those that are filtered for saplings or the propagules. And then there's a second row of deployers that is also going to be just for the bone meal and for the tree fertilizer. So I have it filtered for that as well. And that's it. And so it's, you know, going back and forth. This has been, I think, like 5 or 6 times back and forth now. So we're going to go ahead, switch the system to reset, which will prevent any new trees from being grown. We're going to wait for these to come back. And I usually let it go back and forth a couple times just to knock down whatever's left. So we are pretty much done there. And so now we're going to flip this to output. And so once these come back, you'll see we've got stuff coming out. So there's logs coming out. And, you know, quite a bit of logs already. You may notice that we also have some stripped spruce and rubber logs. You also may notice that this doesn't look like stripped spruce anymore. Well, the funny thing about, you know, some of these trees and growing so tall, if they happen to touch any of the build material that's on the outside, it will take the whole thing down like it's a tree. So that was the problem that I had, is I built this all out of stripped spruce, and one of those trees managed to get up to the tippy top there, and it knocked the whole thing out. So what I ended up going with is actually a block from, I believe it's a chisel refabricated, yes, smooth spruce planks. And this right here doesn't have the tag for the logs, and I think even wood. It's just its own thing, but it's still spruce. Because you have to be careful. If anything is like a wood type, it will just cut it down. Now that we're kind of done here, we'll flip the farm off. These will come back to rest. Well, all right, that's all the time we have left in this episode. I appreciate you guys checking out the build. I hope you're as excited as I am about a create farm that can harvest every single tree type that exists. I mean, that's pretty impressive, if I don't say so myself. Did I mention how humble I am? Kidding aside, I really appreciate you guys checking out the series. I know we've gotten quite a good reception from it so far, and I hope you guys are as excited as I am for the rest of it. And I can't wait to show you guys more what I'm working on. So until then, safe travels everyone, and appreciate you checking it out.